Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into one of the biggest names in the superfood game, Moringa. You've probably seen it everywhere, from health food stores to smoothie bars. But what's the real story behind this so-called miracle plant? Let's break it down. So it goes by a bunch of different names. The drumstick tree, the horseradish tree, but the one that really sticks, the one that's got everyone's attention, is the miracle tree. And that title comes straight out of ancient Ayurvedic tradition in India. And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Does the science actually back up all these incredible claims? In this explainer, we're going to cut through all the marketing noise, get right into the research, and figure out what the evidence really truly says. All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll tackle those big marketing promises. Then, we'll pop the hood and see what's actually inside the plant. After that, we'll get into the science of the specific compounds that might be doing the heavy lifting, check what the human trials say, and then, super important, we'll finish with a reality check on the risks. Okay, so first up, the claims. We're talking about a plant that's been used for thousands of years, especially in its native North India. But its modern reputation, well, that's built on some really, really big promises. I mean, just look at this list. Moringa is often marketed as a cure-all, right? It's positioned as this amazing natural multivitamin, something that'll boost your energy, supercharge your immune system, fight inflammation, and even get your blood sugar under control. These are the claims that have put it on the global map. All right, let's move on. To really understand if those claims hold any water, we've got to look past the buzzwords and get into the hard data of what's actually in this plant. And this is a number you will see everywhere. Over 90 nutrients. I mean, wow, right? That sounds incredible. It makes Moringa sound like the ultimate one-stop shop for all your nutritional needs. But what does a big number like 90 plus actually mean for you? Well, let's bring it back down to earth. If you take just 1 cup of fresh chopped moringa leaves, you're getting a pretty decent chunk of your recommended daily allowance for some really key vitamins and minerals. So yeah, no question about it, it is definitely nutritious. But, and this is a big but, it's not quite that simple. Moringa leaves also have something called anti-nutrients. You can think of them as compounds that kind of get in the way. They can actually bind to some of those great minerals and proteins, which makes it harder for your body to absorb all the good stuff. And this is where the story gets really interesting, because it turns out the potential of moringa isn't just about vitamins and minerals. It's about a special class of chemicals that scientists are really zeroing in on. They're called bioactive compounds. You can think of them as the plant's active ingredients. These are the things, like flavonoids and phenolic acids, that researchers believe are actually responsible for the health effects everyone's talking about. So let's meet some of the key players here. You've got quercetin, which is a really well-known antioxidant. There's chlorogenic acid, which is the one often linked to blood sugar. And then you have isothiocyanates, which are believed to have some powerful anti-inflammatory effects. So to make this real, let's just pick one of those. Chlorogenic acid. How is it thought to work? Well, based on lab and animal studies, the theory is that it might slow down how fast your gut absorbs sugar. At the same time, it might block an enzyme in your liver, which could lead to your liver producing less glucose. This is the proposed mechanism behind all those blood sugar claims. Okay, so that all sounds pretty great in theory. But it brings us to the most important question in this entire explainer. Does any of this stuff that works in a lab or in animals actually work for people in real life? And right here, this is the critical takeaway. When you look at animal studies, the results are often really impressive. They show major improvements. But when scientists test this stuff in humans, the results are, well, they're much less clear. We see modest benefits at best, and sometimes none at all. The bottom line from the scientific community is we just need a lot more research. This chart basically sums it all up visually. You can see that for the biggest claims, the ones about blood sugar, cholesterol, and inflammation, the strongest evidence we've got is still coming from animal models. That scientific bridge to proving it works reliably in humans, it just hasn't been fully built yet. So keeping that big evidence gap in mind, let's talk about the practical stuff. Before you think about adding moringa to your routine, there are some essential safety facts you absolutely need to be aware of. First things first, and this is so important, not all parts of the moringa tree are the same. The leaves, the fruit, or pods, and the seeds are generally considered safe to eat as food. The root and the bark, however, contain substances that can actually be toxic. You want to stay away from those.
And because of that risk from the root and bark, it's advised that pregnant people avoid moringa altogether. Also, and this is key, if you're taking any medications for things like diabetes, high blood pressure, or a thyroid condition, you have to talk to your doctor first. Moringa could potentially interact with those drugs.
And finally, here's a crucial reminder that goes for any supplement, not just Moringa. The FDA doesn't regulate these products for quality, purity, or even to make sure the dosage on the label is accurate. That means what's in the bottle can vary wildly, so choosing a reputable brand that does third-party testing is really important. So, where does all this leave us? Is Moringa really a miracle tree? Based on the human evidence we have today, calling it a miracle is probably a stretch. What we can say for sure is that it's a very nutritious plant. It's packed with vitamins and interesting compounds that hold a lot of promise. But that promise still needs to be proven in solid human clinical trials. So for now, maybe it's best to think of moringa not as a miracle cure, but as a nutritious leafy green. A healthy addition to a balanced diet, for sure, but definitely not a replacement for proven medicine.